I think everyone's kind of, not everyone, but most people are missing the point of really what this is. This is yet another distress signal by young people to say, hey, if you're not going to fix our life economically, we're going to get very radical politically. Now, let's take a step back. President Trump won the youth vote in many states across the country, in many battleground states. Now, Tucker, 12, 13 years ago when I started Turning Point, if you would have told me that a Republican running for the presidency would be winning the youth vote in Michigan and in Arizona, I'd say no way. It's an incomprehensible accomplishment of what President Trump was able to do. One of the reasons he was able to win younger voters and younger men, especially in big numbers, is that they were trying to get their leaders' attention. They said, hey, this guy, Donald Trump, he is pledging to go fix our economic anxiety. He is loud. He is going to get your attention. Donald Trump was a distress signal by a lot of young people, especially young men, that were stuck in a credit-centric renter economy.
While I detest quite a few things that Charlie Kirk has said in the public, he's 100% right about this. The same thing that propelled people to go out and vote for Donald Trump is the same reason that they're going out to vote for Zovan Mamdani. They're going to go out and vote for Graham Plattner. These people are trying to usher in a new politics where the people that are elected are actually accountable to the people that elected them. I know it's a radical concept. We haven't seen that in a long time, but that's the way it's supposed to be. If I give you my vote, it's for you to run the platform that you said you were going to run and for you to be accountable to the things that I voted for you for. It's a radical idea for you to actually do the things that you ran on. Not start to tell me about how this, that, and the third is a barrier for you to do those things. You actually have to go do them. And if you're not, then no problem. We'll just find somebody else. Somebody that's not going to take all of this corporate money, somebody that's not going to get into Congress and start insider trading and doing whatever it is that they have to do in order to enrich themselves, and then look at the bottom of 90% of America and say, oh, forget you guys. You guys are still going to be poor. You're going to have no food and clothing, shelter and water. That's the game we've already been playing, and it doesn't work. Charlie Kirk knew it. Donald Trump knew it. That's why he ran on the campaign that he ran on. And people across the entire United States, they've tried going to the Republicans. The Republicans tried going to the Republicans. But now they're seeing, okay, Doe just cut all of this stuff. You have all of these plane crashes. You have people that can't even get their SNAP benefits. You have the rounding up of all of these immigrants in a way that people are not generally comfortable with. So what do? They swung to the right. Now they have to swing back to the left in order to try to get some semblance of what normal used to be. The median age to buy a home used to be 33 years old. It's 40 in just 5 years. How drastically have we gone from being a nation that's affordable for, some people, most people, to being unaffordable for most people? And then you have all of these billionaires that continue to tell you, they basically tell you you don't deserve to have food and clothing, shelter and water in the richest nation ever. They keep pointing to the GDP and pointing to the stock market saying, oh, well, it's hit highs. It's hit the highest highs. Okay, but most people don't participate in the stock market. And if they do, they barely have enough to retire on anyway. There was a report or a statistic that most Americans can't afford a $400 emergency. $400. That's literally nothing. I went to Costco last week and I had a full cart of fruit, of some vegetables, a couple of proteins, and that cost me $400. I got toilet tissue. I got some cases of water that cost $3.99 each. I left out of there. My literal bill was $399. Back in the day, let's say 2010, right? If you went to Costco with $400, your cart was filled to the brim with food and snacks and toiletries and whatever you needed. $400 could get you through an entire month. Granted, that was 15 years ago. The cost of living has gone up. Inflation has gone. Inflation has increased. We went through the entire COVID era, but the amount of increase that we've seen just over the past 5 years has priced most people out of buying basically groceries. Now, there are people that are going to tell you, oh, get on SNAP benefits if you can't afford it. Then the Trump administration tells you, hey, even though we're in an emergency situation, we're not going to give you the SNAP benefits. They don't even want to give the emergency money. And their excuse is, oh, well, we need the emergency for an actual emergency. Not being able to eat is a fucking emergency. Because if you ask Donald Trump, if you ask JD Vance, if you ask Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, all of these people that are behind Project 2025, that are being a battery in Trump's back, if you ask those people at their age today, if they're going to miss a meal or two, if they're going to eat the same types of meals from a food bank that they're telling people, oh, just go to the food bank, they'll take care of you. When the food banks have lines that are literally around the building, you had service members that were also lining up in food banks at the beginning of October when the government shut down. Thankfully, they were able to get paid, but they were there in those food banks initially. If you ask those people to go eat the same meals from the food banks, they will tell you, no, I'll just go and starve. Because they know that while the food banks are doing the best that they can, people need these government programs that we pay into. We pay our tax dollars in order to help the least of us in this economy, in this society. And if we're not going to do that, what the is the point of having a government? What the is the point of having a central body that oversees the welfare and the general welfare and the good of all the people? That's what the government is for. It's not just to make laws and tell you what you can and can't do. It's to combine the resources for the greater good of everybody across the board. And if they're not going to do that, if they're going to leverage their power in order to play a political game, whether that be people on the right or people on the left, if they're going to leverage power to play a political game where the insiders continue to get more and more and more, and the least of us continue to get less and less, to the point where even the people that are starving are not able to access the benefits in an emergency situation, then what is the point of government? What is the point of continuing to vote for the things that you were voting for in the past? They got you into the situation. So when they start seeing these ideas of all of these progressives across the gambit nationwide, pushing for reform in housing and affordability, right? That's the message that people are starting to run on. That was popularized by Bernie Sanders, carried by Zoran Mamdani in the New York mayoral election. When people started to see that message across the gambit, and then you have billionaires and people in power telling you things can never get better, what is the point of government? The will of the people is, hey, we don't want these Affordable Care Act subsidies to run out. Mike Johnson, he keeps coming out and saying, oh, well, we have a plan. Where's the plan? Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that she has to go into a skiff in order to see what the plan is. Why? This plan is going to be published tentatively, if it's a good plan, to the entire nation. Is it a secret what the healthcare plan is? The Affordable Care Act isn't a secret plan. You could go online and look up the specifications of what the plan is and what it is not. You can't even discuss the plan unless you go into a secure, compartmentalized information facility. That's what a skiff is. In order for secret data and top secret data and all of these different classifications not to leak, that's why you have to go into a skiff. What classification is on a healthcare plan that's supposed to be good and supposed to be published to the entire nation? That doesn't make sense. The system is not working. And for somebody to have the audacity of hope, they have to look at somebody that's progressive, that's saying, hey, I'm going to do something different than the status quo, because the status quo is why we're in the situation that we're in. But the people that are benefiting from the status quo, they want to do propaganda to tell you, oh, if you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, then eventually you can make it. And for some cases, that's going to be true, absolutely. But for most people, they're losing, they've been losing, and into the future, they're going to continue to lose. Their lives suck.